Welcome to Monster Men! Welcome to a Christmas edition of Monster Men. Jim Backus is with me today. So anybody who knows me knows that besides Halloween, my other favorite thing, especially this time of year, is the Christmas specials.
Yes, because you're perennially 5.
Yes.
I think you kind of stopped around 5.
Well, some people, the reason for the season and peace on earth and all this and that. For me, it's time for Heat Miser and Snow Miser and
Some like it hot. I like it really hot.
any Rankin and Bass show.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was go through my list of top 10 Christmas special villains.
Because we're monster men.
Because
You
we're monster
have to
men.
center on the monsters who are the bad guys.
All right, so at number 10,
10.
I'm going with
I'm putting up the list.
Mr. Barnaby, Silas Barnaby from March of the Wooden Soldiers. He's the
Now wait
guy-
a second. That's a Thanksgiving show.
That's right, but here's the thing.
All right.
Number 1, Thanksgiving is the day that kicks off the Christmas season.
All right. Well, only after Santa appears at the Thanksgiving Day parade.
Well, actually, though, Santa makes an appearance in March of the Wooden Soldiers, and I had the idea for the blog post I wrote about that inspired this episode. I wrote while I was watching March of the Wooden Soldiers. And Barnaby is one evil mofo.
I'm going to tell you something now. I've never seen March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Oh my
I'm
god.
admitting it here. Never seen it. And I liked Laurel and Hardy as a kid.
Every
Never watched
Thanksgiving I watch March of the Wooden Soldiers. It's look, Laurel and Hardy have funnier things. Them going up the stairs with the piano, one of the greatest things ever. But it's a tradition. My family will call each other or text each other. You watching March of the Wooden Soldiers? If we miss it on WPIX,
Was it on this year?
9 o'clock.
Missed it again. So tell me, who is Silas Barnaby?
Well, it takes place in Toyland, and Barnaby is a stereotypical evil, hunched-over guy with a top hat and a beard and leery guy, and he owns the deed on the old woman who lives in the shoe, who happens to be Little Bo Peep's mother.
This sounds far-fetched.
It is based on a true story.
This
So
is like
anyway.
Toy Story before Toy Story.
Basically, the little old woman who lives in the shoe can't pay the rent, and is going to get kicked out. And Barnaby's like, well, unless you let Little Bo Peep, your hot daughter, marry me.
Oh, gross.
Well, Laurel and Hardy end up tricking him and everything. Turns out he goes to this place called Bogeyland, where the bogeymen come, and these are like these wild, vicious animal guys, and they attack Toyland, and are like essentially he's going to exterminate Toyland. He's the Hitler of
The Hitler of Toyland.
if he can't have Bo Peep, he's going to kill everybody in Toyland.
Mein
And
Toy
leaves
Kampf.
us- Luckily, the Laurel and Hardy, who happen to be toy makers, had built by mistake instead of 6-inch wooden soldiers. They made 100 6-foot soldiers, and so they end up.
Somebody forgot to do the inches to feet thing?
Yes, exactly. So their
happens
mistake
every time.
ended up saving Toyland. So Mr. Barnaby, we're going to have to get you to watch that.
I guess so.
You'll have to fast forward. There's some lame songs in it, but
Oh, good.
it's a
I love late
it's a
songs.
classic.
I'm really big into musicals.
Yes. Well, the musical episode sometime.
All
Okay.
right, so that's number 10. Number 9,
Have you ever seen A Christmas Story?
I sure have.
Well, Scott Farkus, who's there we go. Scut Farkus, who's the bully.
Come on, cry, baby, cry!
Which, one of the great moments in all Christmas specials has to be when Ralphie finally loses it and
Beats the tar out of him.
I mean,
Freckleberry.
the little kid in all of us is just like, get him. And don't you think that Scut Farkus, which actually with a U, not Scott Farkus, it's Scut Farkus.
Is it?
Yeah. I did a little research for once.
Oh.
He sort of channels Butch from the Little Rascals. You know?
Yeah,
he's got that little freckly.
And he does have a face that. Oh.
Now, his buddy, which I have it here.
What is it, Frog or Toad or something?
Grover
Gill. Scott Farkus was perfect. Peter and the Wolf music whenever he shows up. I mean, that was perfection. Love that movie.
So I give him number 9 spot.
I'll give him 9. I'd hate him too. Number 8.
Number 8, I think you might be a little surprised at how early he appears on this, but I have a good reason for it. It's the Winter Warlock from Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
One foot in front of the other.
Yes.
Wait, do I have that?
Right there.
That's it. Oh, that's
no,
the given out of Santa Claus. Hold on.
It's here somewhere.
Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Now, first of all, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, one of the best of all of the Christmas specials. Because start to finish, it's the most entertaining. It's probably got the least amount of lame songs in it. And it's got
I liked young Kris Kringle, too.
And
his girlfriend, who I thought was a hot puppet. Jessica was a hot puppet.
So, Winter Warlock, one of the more terrifying of villain.
When he would show up?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a really little kid, you could get unnerved by that.
Right.
By that guy. The reason I put him lower on this list is because he finds redemptions very quickly.
He's only bad for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, so he's really freaking scary for the first 20 minutes of that thing. Then he ends up being the guy who, why reindeer fly? Well, magic horse feet. Or,
yeah. And then he turns into like this, benign as the old guy who you go visit at Christmas time because he doesn't have any.
I think it was Keenan Wynn was the voice.
Yes.
Hey, you guys! And redemption, I mean, for all of us out there who are looking for a second chance, it's just a matter of the gumption to stand up and walk across the floor and head out the door.
I will tell you just a quick one. Now, my version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town is a double disc with the Little Drummer Boy, which is the most depressing Rankin Bass ever. It's shot. It's dark. To me, the biggest villains are the ones who murder his family. That freaked me out as a kid. I was like, oh my God, they're just killing them.
We'll give the murderers in the Little Drummer Boy honorable mention.
Yeah, they'll be 8B.
Yeah. It's a hard list to make, and, we want to hear from you, because there's going to be definitely some disagreement on this.
And we're going to miss out on some.
All right, so the Winter Warlock, and it just shows up the power of a choo-choo train. So if there's somebody that's really bugging you in life, maybe give them a choo-choo.
Teach them how to walk first.
Yeah. Ready for number 7? Number 7...
Same movie.
The other guy from Santa Claus Coming to Town, Burgermeister, Meisterburger.
Again, hating Germans. We had the Hitler of Toyland and now the Burgermeister.
One of the great things about Burgermeister
and I'm
Meisterburger is, first of all, he runs a city called Sombertown. So it's not exactly the best marketing mind in the world, except that's what he's going for. So
that's what he likes.
He's setting the mood, actually.
He's very gray.
This guy outlaws toys.
I know. His little buddies look like Gestapo.
Yeah, very, dictator-like, oppressive, and puts Kris Kringle in jail.
I hated him as a kid.
And he's not charismatic. Like some of the other villains on this list, you love these guys. You're like, oh, I love that guy, even though he's the bad guy. You love him. He's like the number one villain that you're like, ew, he's ugly. He looks like Ed Asner.
Oh, wait, I was just going to say, he looks like Ed Asner. He does look like Ed Asner.
Who ends up, Ed Asner was Santa Claus in Elf.
That's right. He's just not as nice as
He should be in the Santa Claus is Coming to Town live action. So Burgermeister, Meisterburger. And one of the things I love is, while many of the other villains on this list eventually find redemption and the Christmas spirit, he just sort of falls out of power and fades away.
He's run out of town on the rails.
Just call him a sad, lonely man. He's a Burgermeister, Meisterburger.
No redemption for Ed Asner Nazi dude.
And have you ever been in like a history class where they've mentioned a real Burgermeister and not thought...
Burgermeister, Meisterburger. All right, number 6. I like this one.
Number 6 is Professor Hinkle, who's the guy who had the magic hat and Frosty the Snowman.
There we go. Busy.
Now, this is another guy that maybe I think about this stuff too long. This guy is a freaking homicidal maniac. Think about it.
He's willing to kill a girl, a snowman, anything.
Well, first of all, his magic hat lands on Frosty, brings the snowman to life. He immediately sees the opportunity to get his hat back and make money. So this living being, no. I want this. Let's kill you right there, or just take the life from you. Later on in the show, he locks Frosty in a what do you call it?
The flower house, the greenhouse.
Yeah, greenhouse, and melts him. And then at the end,
in front of a kid.
In front of a kid, yes.
Who's freezing to death.
Exactly. And then when Santa Claus finally shows up to save the day, the only thing that really motivates him is the incentive of, well, if you write that you won't hurt snowmen anymore, you might get a Christmas present again. So he's not even really motivated by anything more than greed.
And I love that Santa voice in it. Was that Maury Laws, I think, was the voice of Santa in that?
Oh, that's a good one. We should look at that.
I think so.
I know Jimmy Durante was
That was one of my favorite Santa voices. I thought that was like the definitive Santa.
The big question in Frosty the Snowman is, Hinkle is trying to do a trick at the beginning. It fails once again. So he throws the hat, like in frustration, towards the garbage pail.
Right.
And that's when Hocus Pocus, the bunny, pops out of it and takes the hat. So it would be sort of like me with my iPhone. This thing's a piece of... this thing is trash. And I put it here. And then you go, well, you just threw that away. It's mine now. Naturally, I'd be like, dude, I didn't really mean that. I didn't throw it out.
Yeah,
so
it's just a little frustrating.
It's sort of like CSI. Like, you have to put the garbage out onto the curb. Mm-hmm. Then they can take it out and take your DNA and fingerprints. But until that...
Right.
So it's... If you went to a court of law, did Hinkle really have a case of you stole my hat? That's
Law and Order Christmas unit.
But
it's
I would say that he's a narcissist and he's a homicidal maniac, sociopath.
Dude, he's a magician. No offense to magicians, but I'm going to offend magicians. You're already a little off.
Well, he's dabbling in the black arts.
He's an occultist.
You know, this is about the birth of Christ, and he's sitting here doing black magic.
His hat is godlike.
Give me that hat. Happy birthday.
But it's still a classic.
Now, the number 5 on the list kind of is a offshoot of this.
I agree wholeheartedly. This would be my number 1 that I have to this day.
Okay. One of the great Christmas specials is the Charlie Brown Christmas. And the bad guy in that is not Lucy. It's not Pigpen. It's commercialism.
Crass commercialism. Which was 40-something years ago. And it's even worse now.
It's ironically, part of the commercialism is the Charlie Brown stuff.
That's true. But I mean, I see that point to this day. When I see Christmas stuff come out on the shelves right after Labor Day, I want to tear it off and throw it in the garbage. Don't talk to me about Christmas until Thanksgiving dinner has been digested. Then we can move on.
This is also one of the few Christmas specials that actually acknowledges Jesus. You know.
Yeah,
Linus gives the speech.
Happy holidays. Happy bland holiday.
Yeah.
No, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. And one of the great things is, number 1, Snoopy winning the decoration contest. And so Charlie Brown's like complaining about commercialism, and he sees his own dog with like the biggest light show. And then the way the kids react at the pageant they're putting on, where every 2 seconds he like turns around, okay, let's get back to work, and they all start dancing.
Great cartoon, but I agree, commercialism. That would be my number 1. Lights, please.
Lights, please.
You know what I love when they do the tree? It's just a bunch of hands going like this, and all of a sudden, bing!
One of my favorite parts is when Lucy is yelling at people, and Snoopy's behind her like... He's a vulture.
All right, let's hit number 4.
Okay, number 4. Anybody who knows me knows that I love Heat Miser and Snow Miser. And they probably are surprised that I'm not putting that at number 1.
Here's the movie.
But to be fair, while they are my favorite villains, they don't own the top spot, but they do own the best song.
They have the best songs whatsoever.
Absolutely. However, Year Without a Santa Claus, when they're not on screen, that one drags.
Mother Nature.
Jiggle a jaggle.
Gee, Mrs. Claus. That's a straight...
My name is Claus. But, first of all, when you're really little, though, Heat Miser's the scarier of the two. He's more of the satanic one.
He's the one we all like.
He's the one we all like. Snowy is, they go to him, and he's not as scary, and he's like, well, we gotta talk to my brother. He's the tough one. And, but the two of them come as a set. However, I will say the live action version with Harvey Fierstein as Heat Miser was
never should have been done.
A travesty. But
that's a true villain of Christmas. Remaking Christmas classics is their dreck.
Heat Miser, Snow Miser, Year Without a Santa Claus, number 4, best song.
Number 3, one of my faves. I wish we had him here today, my big one.
The big one, we got the small one.
Yes.
It's the Abominable Snowman, or as better known, the Bumble. From Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yukon Cornelius.
Another one that I think can be truly scary to a little kid. Because
he was scary because he was out to kill things.
He was out to kill things,
stuff.
and that sort of, you don't see Jaws for a lot of the movie. You don't really see him.
The shadow first.
You hear his roar and all that. So it's the unseen thing. Then when he does show up, he's got these fangs and everything like that.
Yeah.
And he's ready to eat Rudolph's family.
Yep.
Until luckily Rudolph knew a dentist who could remove his teeth, and then Yukon Cornelius has to tackle the guy and go off a cliff with him, and kill himself to kill the beast.
Meanwhile, if somebody pulled out my teeth, and if I'm as big as him, I'm going to say, all right, I'm just going to rip you apart now.
And then
I'm a bigger guy. I'll come somehow.
Make you into a soup.
I'll eat you like the fly.
I can't help that anytime I see Empire Strikes Back, I think the Wampa was directly descended from.
It could have been.
Bumble.
I mean, he grew up influenced by it.
I don't know if Wampas bounce.
Well, maybe he'll give us a chance to see when he does the next ones.
I like that Yukon Cornelius kicks his ass and then he redeems himself and
again redemption.
He finds redemption, but I mean,
but only after he's been disfigured.
Yeah,
horribly disfigured. Pulled out all his teeth.
It's kind of like The Walking Dead when they pull out the teeth and the walkers.
Yeah,
they got that right from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer did it first.
I want to be a dentist.
So the Bumble gets the number 3 spot.
Definitely. Number 2, I think we're all... Well, there might be some disagreement with putting him at number 2.
Number 2, this guy easily could have had number 1, and, get me on a different day and maybe I'd say it, but Mr. Grinch. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, number 2 villain.
Boris Karloff.
If there's a face on the putting the who's between you and a Merry Christmas, the Grinch stands there.
He's a schmuck.
Because he doesn't just try and ruin Christmas. He steals the whole damn thing.
And he's abusive to a dog. I'm surprised PETA hasn't protested airing this and made them change it.
And another guy who lies to a little kid's face.
That's true, but he does give her water.
Sure.
Sends her off to bed.
And he's got another great theme song about just how bad he is.
Isn't that sung by the guy who does Tony the Tiger?
Yes. Here's another reason why the Grinch rated so high with me. The cartoon is narrated by Boris Karloff, who's Frankenstein's monster.
Written by Dr. Seuss, so it's lyrically perfect.
And the live-action one with Jim Carrey was narrated by Anthony Hopkins, who's Hannibal Lecter. So you get 2 horror greats narrating both versions of this. And the 3 words that best describe the Grinch? Stink, stank, stunk.
I hated the Jim Carrey version. Hated it!
I took it with my niece, so I have a sentimental spot for it.
I looked at it and I said, oh, now I know why they waited for Dr. Seuss to die before they did any of this stuff. Because he knew what they would do to it. That's a great number 2. Now your number 1.
Number 1, what do you think?
I mean, the natural number 1 is going to be Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. Which I have right over here.
Think that, wouldn't you?
That would.
But it's not.
Who is it?
First of all, Scrooge isn't even on this list. I felt like Scrooge was too obvious and too easy. But I will give him honorable mention. Mr. Magoo and Bill Murray being my favorite 2 Scrooges. But I got to be honest with you, I'm a little sick of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, it's because that's the first Christmas cartoon ever made.
Which I had no idea.
Started the whole thing.
no idea that
Raspberry dressing.
we'll give Scrooge honorable mention, but let's face it, as a little kid, were you like, oh good, black and white Scrooge is on? Or you're like, woohoo, the Grinch is on?
Oz, woohoo, the Grinch is on.
So Scrooge, bah humbug, he gets in the Hall of Fame, honorable mention.
Yep.
My number one Christmas villain is Santa Claus.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not just any Santa Claus, a specific Santa Claus.
Yes.
It's Santa Claus from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I was just discussing this with my kids, and they agreed that he is the biggest schmuck ever.
I started writing, he's a big fat jerk, and I had to stop because actually he's a thin jerk.
He's a skinny jerk.
Until the end. Eat, Papa, eat. The reason he's number one is because we expect more from Santa Claus.
Oh, he was horrible.
He, first of all, when Rudolph's nose comes off during the reindeer games,
right.
He doesn't, like, and everybody's picking on him, he doesn't step in and defend him. He yells at Donner. He's like, Donner, I thought more of you.
What's going on? Get that thing out of here.
Then everybody's off, looking for Rudolph. They're captured by the Bumble. They've been missing for months or whatever. Santa Claus is just hanging out, home.
He could care less.
This is a guy who knows when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake. You'd think he has some sort of positioning system on people.
But it's because he didn't care for Rudolph. Rudolph could do nothing for him.
Exactly.
So he didn't care. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's off the radar.
Because, lo and behold, oh my God, it's foggy out.
Now I need him.
Yep.
And you serve a you know what he is? He's a perfect corporate executive.
Exactly.
I don't know you until you can get me something that's going to make me some money or help me with my bottom line.
And he's too cheap to put headlights on his sleigh. So we expect more from you, Santa Claus. So in the other ones, like Frosty the Snowman, he's a hero. We love Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is coming to town. But in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
Skinny Santa, you're a jerk.
yes,
I don't like you.
bah humbug.
I think that's a great top 10 list right there.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. Ho, ho, ho.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Grr, arg.